The de Havilland Mosquito was a twin-engine, multi-role aircraft made entirely from wood, earning the nickname the Wooden Wonder. The crew of two, a pilot and a navigator, sat side by side in all variants of this remarkable machine.
Of course, this whole series and everything we do is about history's greatest aircraft. You cannot deny, nobody can deny, this is it's a top contender for history's greatest aircraft, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
De Havilland Mosquito, twin Merlin engines, nearly 8,000 of them built, and perhaps one of the war's most successful aircraft. The spirit of freedom, in a sense. Aircraft of this type went deep into occupied Europe. Pinpoint precision attacks. They stung the Nazi hierarchy at embarrassing moments for Goebbels and Göring. Audacious raids. Germany occupied Europe. They also, as per the Mark II we are in, stalked enemy bombers. They intruded interdiction attacks over Europe. The Germans had an expression in the Luftwaffe, mosquito panic, they called it, because they never knew when or where the mosquitoes would appear.
So this is an NF2, owned and operated by Tony Agar. We do all the engineering work for him. It moved here in 2017, I believe it was, from Yorkshire Air Museum, where he had it. And he brought it here and we basically helped him to get it taxiing. So we did a lot of systems and engine work with him to get it up to a taxiing condition.
A lot of questions are asked about how I started. And the only time I can remember is when I was on ATC Cadets at Marham, and we went to visit the Modellers Club. And in the Modellers Club there was a table laid out with models, and in the middle was the Mozzie. And I saw that, and I can still picture it today. And that really did stick in my mind.
It wasn't until moving it here to East Kirkby that actually the dream to have a running Mosquito was realised, and the extra work was put in to bring it all together and operational to actually start running the aircraft. The way the rules work in the UK at the moment is for a wartime wooden aircraft such as that, it would need all new woods and glues used. The problem is during wartime production there was a glue used on the aircraft which didn't have the longevity of modern glues. So a lot of them are starting to delaminate, the layers of wood are peeling away because the wood's rotting basically. So for a Mosquito to be used and flown nowadays, it would need completely new wooden structure produced. And it can be done over in New Zealand. They are making new aircraft, new wings, new fuselage. But Tony's feeling towards the Mosquito here, HJ711, is that the amount of history that aircraft has accrued in all the different aircraft that have come to make up that one fuselage and wing here could be completely lost if you put new items on. So he's very keen to just taxi the aircraft and have all that living history.
The aircraft in Lincolnshire is now regarded as a star in the British firmament of running World War II aircraft survivors. However, one section of the plane is itself literally a star. The fuselage has an illustrious screen history and a survival story worthy of a Hollywood scriptwriter. It was used in the legendary 633 Squadron movie of the 1960s, but then, like many props, found itself abandoned after production had wrapped. It was big enough, thankfully, to be retained as an asset for other war movies. However, no such screen time emerged, and it was unceremoniously left out in the elements. That, though, wasn't going to stop Tony from getting his hands on it and preventing it from becoming part of a giant bonfire when the lot was cleared. In the days before the internet and Google Earth, Tony was forced to undertake his own reconnaissance mission, which ended, appropriately enough, in a daring raid the 633 pilots would have been proud of.
So I got the wing and the cockpit unit, cabin. What about the fuselage? So I knew people in the grapevine who said there was some fuselage, a couple of fuselages at Boreham Wood. MGM Studios. So I went down in my car and Singer Vogue, oh, you can't come in here, there's, you know, this is operational. But there is a yard down the road, which was the old site of MGM Studios. Behind that, there's a load of debris, rubbish and all sorts. And there was the fuselage. There's two of them. One had been cut, the tail had been cut off, but there was one that was a whole piece, but without the cabin. When it was in the film, it was used in 633 Squadron. So that fuselage is out there now, came up from there. But when I saw this fuselage down the side of this fence, looking really sad. Anyway, I called in at the Mosquito Museum on the way. Stuart Howe then is gone now, but he knew the owner. And he says, oh yes, you can have it. And we're going to get it away fast because they're redeveloping the land. So anyway, I was down the next week, going with the car transport and with the Singer Vogue.
In Lincolnshire, Avro Lancaster taxi pilot Andrew Panton is in charge of the Mosquito when it's running, and he's aware that they are very different propositions.
So the Mosquito and the Lancaster use the same braking design, braking mechanism, it's all pneumatics. It runs slightly differently through the aircraft from the de Havilland design to the Avro design, but the principle is all the same. So it's a differential braking system where you can brake the port or the starboard wheel individually. On the Mosquito, the rudder doesn't have as much influence on the ground, but you can tell it's an extremely powerful aircraft for its weight. So it's got 2 Merlin engines on probably a 6-ton fuselage and wing, whereas a Lancaster's 4 Merlins on something like a 16 to 19-ton aircraft. So it's the Mosquito is very nimble. You know that you're there not on your own merit, but purely because it lets you be there. You have to be particularly on your feet, and you can't be complacent with it, particularly with the large propellers the aircraft has. It has an awful lot of torque, just a low RPM on the aircraft. It's always trying to get away from you.
Mosquito NF11 HJ711 is brought out into the fresh spring air in Lincolnshire for her first taxi demonstration of the season. Although she is a flightless bird, pre-flighting her takes place just as it would on an airborne mission, with Andrew in the pilot's position and Tony alongside.
Normal run for us. This one got a little bit warm, so it blew off. But yeah, all good really. Quite a strong wind. She doesn't like wind or turning in wind too much, but can overcome it all, I'm sure. Well, bringing the Mosquito here and Tony bringing it here and allowing us to operate it here it's transformed the museum. It's had an extra dimension. Before it was Lancaster runs, and it's just this extra living warbird. It's this extra living thing on site. It's another draw for the people that were coming before, but it also brings in people that are favourites of favourite Mosquito as their favourite aircraft, brings in people that knew Lancaster but didn't necessarily even consider the Mosquito in a similar bracket, if you like. I mean, the Mosquito is such a versatile aircraft, being with night fighter, fighter bomber, many things it did. It's got a huge following, so to bring those with Lancaster people all into one place it's an honour to be able to do it, really, and we're so pleased that Tony thought about bringing it here and breathing life into her as well.